Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I would like to first begin by thanking the government and the people of Mauritania for having us here today, and to appreciate the fact that this gathering is here to talk about peace. I would also like to appreciate the UN country team led by Mr. Anthony Ohemeng Boama, and for carrying this torch of peace, because in the United Nations, the principle that we work on is prevention of peace, prevention of conflict leading to peace. So I would like to say that my name is Alice Wairimu Nderitu. My country of birth is Kenya, and I work in New York as Under Secretary General. I advise the Secretary General of the United Nations on the prevention of genocide. So my office exists to serve as a catalyst to raise awareness of causes and dynamics of genocide and to mobilize action to prevent. And I say so because there is a history to the creation of this office. This office only came to being as a result of the failure of the world to prevent the genocide in Rwanda against the Tutsi and the genocide in Srebrenica against the Bosniak Muslims. And I would say that just this week, last week, I went to see the ambassador of Morocco, the permanent representative of Morocco in New York. His name is Ambassador Omar Hilale, and we spoke about this document. This document is called the Plan of Action for Religious Leaders and Actors to Prevent Incitement to Violence that Could Lead to Atrocity Crimes. It was drafted in Fez, Morocco, so we also call it the Fez Plan of Action. And it was drafted by my predecessor, Adama Dieng, and with the Professor Mohamed El Sanusi, my brother, he's here too. And the two organizations worked with religious leaders from around the world to create this document. So I was speaking to Ambassador Omar Hilale about this document and what more we can do, because this document opens so many doors for me. Because as I often say, that my role is prevention of genocide, and the minute I say that, people hear genocide, they don't hear the word prevention, and they begin to engage on the word genocide, but not on the word prevention. So we spoke about that. Then I told the ambassador, because this was last week, and last week there was this small boy, his name is Ryan Auram, small boy who had fallen down a well. And we were all praying for him and hoping that he would survive. And I told the ambassador, take heart, because whatever is going on with this small boy, one of the things that we can see so strongly is that the people of Morocco are teaching us something. They are teaching us a lesson. I told him, Ambassador, I have worked in places in this continent of Africa and in many other parts of the world, places that many people do not even know of, where we've buried so many people and the value of human life is not there. And you know that on this continent, we keep burying people. We keep burying people, and we bury them as if they were not loved by people. We bury them as if they were not people's brothers or fathers or sisters or daughters or nephews. We just bury them. So looking at the people of Morocco and what they were trying to do for this little boy was such a strong message for me, and a strong message that I have to keep speaking about. So I would like to say that in the world, we've made a notable progress in peace building and moving institutional atrocity prevention frameworks from concept to reality. And we as peace builders, in a space where we often cannot prove what we prevented. People ask, what have you prevented? And then you cannot show it to them because your proof is that there was no war. So I would also like to speak to the reality of the fact that the current political climate we live in right now is marked by the inability of the international community to prevent and stop ongoing atrocities. We have seen regimes everywhere in the world that have produced populist, xenophobic, authoritarian leaders. We've also seen very strongly securitization of security at the local community level. We've seen that in many parts of the world. We've seen that in the Sahel. We've seen that in the Great Lakes region. We've seen that in my own country of birth in Kenya. So here we are, standing in this space where all these things, all these dynamics exist. And in this space, therefore, we must ask ourselves, what is the solution? What should we do? In all the places I worked in before, I used to mediate armed conflict. I have worked with people who are involved in armed conflict all over the world. And it used to be very obvious that when religious leaders made a stand, especially when they made a stand together as people of faith, then we were able to stop the conflict. And I do think it's time for religious leaders to rethink development of strategies for prevention of conflict, not just at the community level, but also at the national level. Yesterday, my colleague and I, the RC of Mauritania, Mr. Ohemeng Boama, we were having a conversation and thinking about when national conflicts happen, who should we call upon to come and help us to mediate? And I must say that we must begin to think about the fact that we only look for former presidents to come and help us. And because we can't divide them we have too many conflicts now. Thinking of President Obasanjo, for example, right now he's dealing with the Horn of Africa, and thinking what is it that we can do to move forward. So we must invest heavily in building the capacity of religious leaders in mediation at the local level, at the national level, and we must move forward and ensure that religious leaders integrate the various strands of atrocity prevention into an approach that responds to current challenges. So finally, in conclusion, I would like to say that people think of genocides as historical events or as something that happened in Rwanda and that cannot happen in other places. But if you go to the Genocide Memorial in Kigali, when you are walking out, there's a small sign there that says that genocides do not happen when 1 million people are killed, or 3 million, or 800,000 people. Genocides happen when you have 20 people killed today, 40 people killed tomorrow, 15 the other day, 6 the other day, 20 the other day, and then one day you wake up and what you have on your hands is really a genocide. So again, speaking to the aspirations and speaking to what we saw in Morocco earlier this week and last week, just asking that the value of human life, we place it on the pedestal that it should be, and please, for religious leaders to come into this space because we really need you as mediators. Thank you very much.